Well, tonight we learned that we had a technical difficulty with the video, and Andra's testimony did not record. According to Mac, which we didn't know, if you give a thumbs up or a what's this thing? Rock on, little peace sign. There's like 5 different things. This is supposed to give lasers, which would be really cool.
Laser beams.
If you do that, which inadvertently, I guess it tracked one of us doing a thumbs up, it decided to stop the video. So we do not have the video of Andrew's testimony. However,
sad.
We do have the podcast, and it'll be playing shortly after this clip. But we wanted to thank you for hopping on. Sorry about the video, and I'm sorry to my wife for the video not working because I probably gave the camera a thumbs up.
You know, honestly, now you guys don't get to see me cry, but the downside is you don't get to see the guest who walks in the room, which is Moose.
Yeah, there was a special appearance by Moose at the end of the episode, and he came in to console.
Yeah. So sorry, but maybe he'll make an appearance here some other time.
Well, we do have to get his testimony.
Oh, a lot of bones in that one.
A lot of bones. A lot of bones. You guys know that God backwards is dog. That'd be about it.
Fun facts.
But,
all right, well, I hope that you guys get a lot out of my story, and let's let it roll.
All right, let's let it rip. You feel prepared for this one?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's just me. I lived it.
Yeah. Well, as promised after the first episode, here we are. Hopefully with better sounding audio than the first episode. And a little bit better video. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But we're working on it.
We are.
We're absolutely working on it. And maybe even next time it's gonna sound even better. Is the perfection? Yeah, I was say, is the perfectionist in me coming out?
Yeah, it is.
I have a lot of purpose in my performance of the audio. Little plug there. No. After we talked about on our first episode about what we were planning to do this time around, I think it's important for the listeners to get to know your testimony, your history, where you came from. That's a weird way to say it, but yes. And essentially the background of how you got to where you're at today. Both, I think athletically is important, and obviously more important with your faith. I'm going to try not to interject much, but I'm sure I'm going to have questions as we go. And as we talked about, it's kind of like the Christian term for this is called the hot seat. So
yeah,
we used to do this at youth group a lot, where you'd be put on the hot seat for whether it was 5 minutes or 5 questions, and you had to answer them. And if someone didn't feel like you answered them to the way you thought they should, they could challenge and say, I don't feel like you're giving me the full part of the story.
That would be literally terrifying for me, to be in front of people that I don't know and be like, excuse me?
So the really cool part is you're actually doing it now in front of a whole bunch of people you probably don't know who are going to hear it.
Right, but like I don't have like eyeballs on me, it's just you. And you know this story, so like it's cool.
I've heard this one before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a few times.
But I think we want to start from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So before we get into that, I think it's important to know that this is definitely a human story. It's not a highlight reel by any means.
Yeah.
Whether it's a positive or a negative part of the story, it's not like, oh, here's what I did, or here's what my family did, or here's this drama for you, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
This is like a very human story with some very raw emotion that who knows what could happen during the conversation.
Right.
There's a magical box of tissues that popped up, which, but
I walked these upstairs and you were like, what are those for? And I'm like, well, they're not serving any purpose downstairs. So,
right.
We might as well bring them up.
But I think it's important that we frame the story a bit. Obviously, when people see you now and what you're doing now, they see discipline, they see hard work, they see who you are as a person, but there's a lot that went into making you who you are now.
Yeah.
So I guess from my perspective, let's start at the beginning, like the very beginning. Give it to me.
My genesis.
Your genesis. Let's hear it.
So I was born in the south suburbs of Chicago, Oak Forest to be exact. And I am an only child. So I grew up with no brothers and sisters, which I think is pretty sweet. But, there's a lot of stereotypes about only children and being spoiled and all the things. And I think to an extent I definitely was, but it was pretty cool. So,
It's pretty neat.
yeah. So, I mean, in my life from age like 0 to 10 was like incredibly normal and pretty good. My parents were still married. From my recollection and memory, they were happy. And everything was normal as far as like my childhood goes from up until probably about age 10. So, yeah. And then like around age 10 was when I think my parents started having their problems. They started moving forward with divorce. There was definitely some cheating involved on my dad's side, which I think really, really affected my mom and kind of shaped the whole rest of the trajectory of my whole childhood with kind of where she went with it. So that was definitely the cause. So I don't know how much further you want me to go into that or if you have any questions about it, but
At this point, no. I want you to keep going. I want a broader picture still.
okay. I have a really low memory of this time. My brain did what brain does with trauma and has blocked out a lot of these memories for me, which I think is great, but also this makes it pretty difficult for me to tell this story. So I'm trying here, but um I would say that some key points during this time was that my dad did end up marrying the woman that he stepped out on with my mom. So I did have to kind of learn to compartmentalize that relationship growing up and in order to like maintain a relationship with my dad, which I did desperately want. And I think that made it difficult for me to be put between my parents because that's got to be such a difficult situation for my mom. And I don't think I could have appreciated it at that time, but now I do, knowing that I'm in a marriage shoes like she was. And if that happened to me, like I have no idea what I would do. So I do feel for her in that time of my life. So, but around that time was also the first time that I smelled what I now know to be alcohol. And I guess I do have to give some backstory. My parents met in AA. So both of them were, they'll tell you themselves, they were both self-described alcoholics and they met there. And so for me to have smelt alcohol at that time was a really bad sign. And I remember asking my dad, like, why is mom being weird? What is like, I feel like there's like something goofy going on. I smell something different. And he just was protecting me, brushed it under the
Now,
rug.
this is when they were separated or they were at the same house when you're asking these questions.
Oh, this is when they were separated
Okay.
after the fact. Yeah.
So he wasn't actively living in the house at that time when you were asking that to him. He was at a separate place.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was asking why mom was being weird, like on the phone calling. And yeah, so I didn't know at the time of what that meant, but I knew that every time mom acted weird, that smell was around. And I didn't know what alcohol was then at 10, but yeah, so I think that was just kind of the start of when things started to really go downhill. And I realized that my mom had relapsed after 12 years of sobriety. So,
Wow. Yeah. So, with that being said, what would you say were some of your earliest memories of instability? I mean, was it right then when you like, did you know in that moment that your parents were getting a divorce? Did they explain it to you, or was it, oh, dad's getting a new home? Like, what was that looking like for you at 10 years old? Like, what do you remember that part? I know, like you said, you blocked some of it out, so it's probably hard to remember a little bit of it.
yeah, I do. I think that I could judge now looking back at it, but they involved me way too much. My mom specifically too. And I try not to cast judgment on this whole situation because again, if I were put into that situation, it would be so hard to handle myself. So I
Mhm.
think she did the best she could with what she knew, but she definitely involved me too much. I knew everything. Like
Every
everything.
every
The
detail.
details.
Hmm.
Yeah. I saw things I shouldn't have seen. I heard phone calls, and at that time, answering machines. I
Yeah.
heard those answering machine messages that I should not have been hearing at that age. And I, yeah. So to explain it, they were definitely fighting a lot at that time. I knew too much. And to me, it felt so chaotic that I was relieved when they said they were going to split. I was like, thank goodness,
Yeah.
because I'm done
Yeah.
with this. And I was excited, and I felt like things were going to turn a corner. So
Like, be better that they're
yeah.
separating because of the chaos that was ensuing
Hmm.
every day. Yeah.
And this was before the smell of what I know now to be alcohol. I was excited then before
Well,
this.
so it's interesting you bring that up. You mentioned the associated smell early on. What do you think that tells you about us as people, about how early on trauma can leave an imprint on us? Like,
Yeah, I think it's right away.
yeah. I mean, it just like it makes me wonder, like, this happened at 10, so at 8, would you recognize the smell? At 5, would you recognize the smell? Like this imprint that a lot of people seem to deny and say, "Oh, I had a perfect childhood, everything was great," but then things come up later.
Hmm.
Obviously, not what you're saying, and you're being very vulnerable with your testimony and explaining this, but like, um, yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to think about that of like how early that trauma imprints on you, and remembering that, and even now remembering that is
Yeah, I think
yeah,
it probably is early. I mean, I look at Ezra, and he's almost 5, and I think that if something bad went down, he'd remember it and he'd know.
yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, he remembers things. He remembers everything currently.
I know. So it's like, imagine if it was a bad thing that lives with
Right.
you. And I
Right.
mean, and I do believe that trauma seats itself in your body and it lives there forever. So
And again, like these are going to be kind of retroactive questions, but how do you feel like the infidelity within your parents' marriage shaped your trust then? Like not now, but then.
I don't think I was old enough to know exactly what it meant.
Okay.
Um, Looking back at it now, terrible. But at 10, I didn't know how painful that was for my mom.
Because like you said, you're more focused on getting out of just the chaos.
Yeah, and I had no idea what any of that felt like. I mean, these were just my parents, and
Yeah.
I just knew that my dad did a bad thing,
Hmm.
but I didn't quite grasp how painful it was for my mom.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I'll stop barging in with questions. So take me on from there. So dad remarries. After that,
Hmm.
what kind of happens with mom? Because you're spending a lot of your time with mom at mom's house, correct?
All of it.
All of your time.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
And I could just see my dad whenever I wanted.
Right.
That was kind of how it was. We didn't have this like parenting plan like they do nowadays where
Hmm.
you have a set schedule. It wasn't realistic with me going to school,
Right.
So, um, I really just continued to come up, and I went to Catholic school, so I did just continue to come up in school, and I started playing sports in 4th grade, and which is 10 years old, so
Hmm.
right around the same
Right
time.
around the same time.
Um, Found basketball at actually in 3rd grade, so I was playing basketball for the school now in 4th grade. That's when the sports started, and I had been playing softball, and overall, but once basketball came into my life, we realized like, oh, she kind of has something here.
Hmm.
So we kind of stuck with that as my main sport, and I fell in love with it. I mean, it was my jam, you know.
Some people have actually told me that you go by the name McBuckets on the side.
You're the worst for bringing that up. Um,
Well, some people say it's even on your race bibs. I don't know.
I do put that on my race bibs.
All right,
Like
McBuckets.
buckets.
All right.
um, so yeah, I started playing sports at that age, and I think that really gave me some sort of outlet to like not focus so much about what was going on at home during that time. I really did enjoy it, and it gave me a connection with my dad that I didn't have with my mom, that I think that I brought with me through my whole life. But once I started playing sports, he became the man to me,
Hmm.
So, um, And my mom was always like that nurturing person that like, you know,
Right.
I went to for emotions, but my dad was the guy when it came to like sports and all the cool stuff. So,
So you bring up emotion there. Dad remarries, mom doesn't. You're spending your time with mom
hmm
where there's an active, problem with alcohol going on.
yeah,
Where do you emotionally go during that time? Like, again, I know you're saying, I didn't really feel it then, but as you're getting older, you're starting to feel it,
right.
right? Like, what are some incidents where you started to feel it? What were you involved in where there were incidents where you started to feel it more?
In the time that we're in right now, I think I don't quite remember big incidences until I was in probably 8th grade. And I do remember my grandpa passed away that year, my mom's father, and
Mm-hmm.
he was like her everything. And so I remember being in Ohio for the funeral and her getting well drunk while we were there.
Mm.
And so I do remember that and handling that very poorly. Um I don't remember a lot of details about that, but just like knowing that that exists. And then there was only one other real incident between the time of that I can remember between 4th grade and 8th grade,
Mm-hmm.
which was probably the most traumatic thing that I remember. And I don't think my brain could ever erase it because it was bad. But being in the back seat of the car while she was pulled over for a DUI and having to sit in a police station for hours while I waited for someone to come get me. And this was before the age of cell phones or anything like that.
Yeah,
So um, that was pretty terrifying for sure.
could imagine.
So yeah, those are just like two incidences that I do remember being very like impactful on me. And emotionally, I don't think I was quite dealing with it very well. Again, I don't think I could accept the gravity of what was going on. It definitely took me until I was in high school to realize that, like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah. So would you say that your coping mechanisms at that time, like the original question being emotionally, where did you go? Would you say your coping mechanisms at the time were basketball? Were these other things? Like, what would you say your coping mechanism was at the time?
Yeah, I think that sports were the outlet
Yeah.
for sure. Sports got me out of the house and to my dad too,
Mm,
away from the drama of my mom, which I think was another reason why I was like so drawn to like making sure like I stayed good at sports.
right.
So,
It's interesting how the coping mechanism it it forms before conscious choice does.
hmm
Like you're not actively thinking, I need to go be good at basketball to get away from my mom.
no.
But you're like, the better I am at basketball, the more time I get with dad, which means less time around mom where things could go awry.
hmm
Or if maybe things were more chaotic or unstable. And it's interesting how those coping mechanisms are there before the conscious choice to actually make a decision to not be there.
Yeah, and I also think that it triggered I'm good enough in
Mm-hmm.
me, where I was getting so much positive reinforcement from being so good.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was getting, I don't want to say special treatment, but like I was moved up onto like, higher teams and
Yeah.
like had the playing time and was a starter and um, etc. So it, I think it triggered in me like I'm good enough for this, knowing that I didn't feel good enough for the change to happen in my house at home. Like I never felt like I was enough to get for her to get sober.
So running in basketball basically gave you that opportunity to be like,
I am worth it.
I'm worth it. Yeah. And that's something home couldn't provide at the time.
Let me prove it
Yeah.
somehow. And it was, but I didn't know it then. But it definitely was a whole game of let me prove it to you.
Do you think that looking back at it, fitness became a refuge first before it was a passion then?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And in a way, it still is, but we'll get there.
Right. Yeah, yeah. We'll get there. We haven't even got to that part. Stop skipping
Yeah.
ahead. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, like you said, kind of low memory of the time, and obviously some very impactful things to happen while you're young between DUI and
Yeah.
everything else. Um, Take me from age 10 to 18.
Yeah. So after I graduated 8th grade from the Catholic school, I remember there being a camp, a basketball camp at the public school prior to graduating, in which that they were like, hey, like, you have an opportunity to not be on the freshman team. Like, you could play up. And I was like, I wouldn't be able to do that if I was at a Catholic school. Those girls are dogs and they're very good. And I just didn't think I'd have the type of opportunity that and be seen as much as I would when I played at Oak Forest. So um, I just decided to not go the Catholic school route and go to public school. And then I did end up playing up on sophomores and then played what would have been 3 years of varsity. So that's kind of where I went from 8th grade. And at 15, so freshman year of high school, it was actually the summer after freshman year of high school. I was at a friend's house, and her older sister was throwing a party, and that was the first time that I tried alcohol. I remember it was summer beer, a Malibu.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting
not really a big
thinking about
coconut
yeah,
fan, so
yeah.
like, ooh, weird.
Yeah,
But
I'm getting a headache thinking about that.
but I can remember being like that first, I don't want to say like hit of alcohol, but like when it does hit you and you feel like that like buzz drunk feeling, it was like dopamine just like smacked me in the face at that very moment, and I was like, this is fun.
Right.
And it was like all these people were having a good time, and I was like included, and people like liked me, and yeah, so that became like really attractive to me at that time.
What do you think it gave you in that moment other than the social thing? What do you think it was doing for you personally in that moment? Do you feel like it was an escape? Like what, expand on that.
I am not the kind of person that was like, I'm going to drink to escape my pain. Like, that was just never me, especially with how I grew up with both my parents being addicts. And um, I was warned from a very young age that I likely would not be a normal drinker. Didn't care. I was going to prove everyone wrong.
Not you.
Yeah. So I think in that moment, what it made me feel was like, I like to call it now like fake extroversion, because like I am naturally like not like a really big like talker, which is ironic that I'm talking on a podcast, but it gave me like this sense of confidence, and I was like way more outgoing, I felt like, when I drank. And um I guess I got a lot of attention for it. And maybe I just wasn't getting enough attention at home.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's, I think, what alcohol did.
Yeah.
At that time. So, and then I got my license at 16, and got involved with the wrong crowd with the wrong boy. And I think the partying took forefront at that time over basketball, and I let it. And I got caught by the athletic director for Facebook pictures that I didn't know existed in a very embarrassing fashion, and I was suspended from the basketball team my junior year, which was like my best year. And so once I got suspended, that really killed my prospects of going anywhere with it, because that makes it quite obvious when one of your starters is sitting on the bench for 2 weeks. And I didn't come back until regionals off the bench. Wasn't starting anymore. So that really sucked. But that is the first time alcohol ruined something athletically for me. There'll be many more.
Stay tuned. Wow, what a cliffhanger.
And that was the first time that my dad decided that he would not talk to me. And I went home to a box on my front porch at my mom's of every trophy I had ever had, from softball all the way through to current day. Different jerseys, a bunch of things that were related to my accolades in a box. And to me, that felt like, I'm done with you. You've ruined all of this. And he didn't talk to me for quite a while.
How do you felt like that moment with your dad doing that played into relationships with friends, significant others, whatever it might have been at that time?
I think it
Like, what was your attachment style from that time, or even now? Is it the same as what you think it was then?
I think it triggered my fear of abandonment
Mm-hmm.
immediately.
Yeah.
Um, I think I could understand him leaving within his own marriage, but that was the first time he left me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that felt like, well, I have to earn people now. Like relationships are earned. And in a way they are, but you know what I mean? Like love is earned, I guess, and it's conditional. And my love for my parent was conditional. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what I learned there. And so um I think it taught me really young to, especially in relationships with men, that it was that I should just like beg for love,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I would sacrifice what I deserved for that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was a bad move on his part, I think, but
And I want to back up a little bit. So when you got your license and started hanging around with like the wrong crowd per se, so whatever the boy at the time, but also his friends or
yeah,
whatever it was, what do you think you were searching for in that moment?
freedom. Get
Freedom.
me out of this
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
Cuz 16 to 18 it got really bad.
Yeah. And I mean, not to segue into more of your story, but like you said, senior year it got really dark. Lead into a little bit of why senior year was unbearable and dark and this worse than these other years and the trauma you already experienced.
Well, um after junior year I made the choice to just quit basketball, which
Mhm.
looking back I wish I just would have worked really hard and came back and not let being suspended define me, and you know, but I just took the easy road out and just quit. Um, Bad move, but that meant that I had to work, and so I started working. Um, my family owned a chain of all women's gyms at the time, and I worked there.
Mhm.
And at home, I think that the drinking just intensified, and I don't remember what triggered it for her or why or what it was. I mean, honestly, even if I did know why, it probably wouldn't make sense.
Mhm.
But um, that was the first time that I had to call 911 over. I don't know if it was a suicide attempt or what it really was, but it sure looked like it. And
Mhm.
at 18, finding that is traumatic. So that was like the first thing that I remember in that year happening. And I mean, after that, I think that she just wanted to not like be looked at so closely under a microscope, so she let me do whatever I wanted. Like I was the party house. I mean, we threw
Mhm.
ragers. um, which is not great. And then I worked a lot and would avoid home.
Mhm.
And I think because it got so bad at home, I would seek refuge elsewhere, and that meant going out, being distracted, working.
Yeah.
But on a positive, that work introduced me to actual fitness.
Mhm.
So,
Now, staying within theme of the podcast here, Catholic school in the beginning,
yeah.
switch to public school. Where's your relationship with God during Catholic school? Even at 10, are you invested in some of the teaching or, did you guys have like a seminary time?
Yeah.
Like, were you invested in it then, or was it more like,
It was just part of life.
yeah.
Um I mean, I did the whole Catholic thing where you do communion, you do confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to church every Wednesday at school. Church was not something that, or even Catholicism, Christianity, anything related to religion was not a part of my house. I think I only went there because it was a better education, not necessarily for the religious part of it. But growing up in it, that was just a part of school. This was just what I did. I didn't have a relationship one way or the other. It wasn't like I was really solidifying my faith. It was just part of school. That's really it. I mean, we had religion class every day, and I can't tell you a single thing I learned.
But as you uptick from junior high into high school, it
It
disappears.
was gone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't something we did at home.
Yeah.
It wasn't a priority in the house at all. We didn't talk about it, nothing. So,
And so you mentioned on the website talking about turning anger towards God,
mm-hmm.
right? In your about you under on our website,
Yeah.
you mentioned that. Was it at this time that that anger started to manifest towards God, or was it really just general anger, or did you feel like it was God did this to me? Like what was that like in that time?
Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of anger, but, but then in senior year, I think it really directed at how could there be this great, wonderful, merciful God, and then this is happening to me? Like, how?
But even in that moment, it was still God did this, not necessarily there's not one.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
And I felt like just mad at him and slighted and like, why me? Why this? Like, why was I dealt this hand?
Yeah. Well, it seems like as you got later, and like you said, your senior year, you're working a lot. It felt like you were trying to almost outrun life. Like, I'm going to go out and party. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to work a ton, and I'm going to avoid my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a key signal of when you get into these rhythms of how do I avoid reality? Yeah, God can't be in the front seat. There's no intentionality with them
No,
at the time. So,
there wasn't. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do
yeah,
it, and what made me feel the most okay
yeah,
at that time. And I didn't think that God was going to help me because, like, he got me here. So it was like, what are you going to do? Make it worse?
right.
So,
How were your grades during that time? Kind of a funny question.
I mean, they were solid. Those never slipped.
That's wild to me
Yeah.
because I'm not saying I know people with the same background, but I know people who have had, very traumatic childhoods, and it felt like grades were the first thing to go the wayside.
No.
But not you. You get accepted into a very nice university
Yeah.
at University of Illinois.
Yep.
Walk me from the story through University of Illinois and shortly after.
Yeah. All my whole senior year, my whole eye was on college. I was like, I'm almost there. I'm almost ready to get out. And I applied to a bunch of schools. But U of I was my number one, and I was deferred first round, which kind of stung, but I was accepted second round.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could not have been happier to go. And I had two girlfriends from high school that we were going to room together with, and it was very exciting. And I was like, this is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I vowed to myself at that moment, I'm going to leave for college and I will never come back here.
Mm-hmm.
So, which did happen.
Which
So.
which did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you get to college, what are you involved in? Is it just partying? Are you part of groups? What are you doing?
Well, I got a job right away at the rec center teaching group fitness, because that's what I had done at my family's gym. So that was just like a little side cash.
Mm-hmm.
And I eventually started personal training there too, because I took a class where I got my NASM certification. So I would eventually personal train. But my freshman year, I remember the first day we moved in and we were like very excited to go to a party. And
Typical freshman.
yeah,
The very
we
freshman
raged. It
thing.
was just, it was freedom. It was just the coolest thing ever. Like, it was college. It was fun.
Right.
It was probably normal experience for other people,
Mm-hmm.
but like not for me.
How so?
Like that. It was always an escape. It was always like something underlying there that wasn't normal. And I knew it deep down. So I knew at my core I was not a normal drinker. But I would never admit that, because then that meant I was my mom.
Right.
So, but my freshman year I partied a ton. And then second semester freshman year, I found ROTC. And I was like, this appeals to me in my like hardcore brain. And I joined, and my dad was thrilled. He was a captain in the U.S. Army, and served in Vietnam, and I think he saw as it another opportunity like basketball was to like reconnect with me. And at that instantly, I was like, I got approval again.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
heck yes. So I went at it full force. I was involved in Ruck Club there, did the Baton Death March, won it, which is really cool. And if you've never done that, it's basically where you hike a marathon with a 40-pound rucksack on in like your full uniform,
Mm-hmm.
which those boots, let me tell you, that's not something you want to walk 26.2 miles in, and not with a 40-pound pack on. So it was incredibly challenging, but really rewarding. And then that's when like running kind of came back into my life because we ran 3 days a week and I hadn't ran since cross country in high school. So um, ROTC was great.
Yeah.
So
So on paper, college was looking successful.
it was.
ROTC. I assume you had good grades because
I
just
did.
knowing you, it was
Yeah.
good grades. Um, Training, leading group fitness, but internally, what was going on? Day to day basis, what was going on? Did you feel like you were living a normal college student life, or did you feel like things were slipping a bit, or what was your perception of it at the time, or looking back on it now?
I don't think I felt like I was slipping, but in the back of my mind, I always knew something was happening at home
Mm,
and like not really quite knowing what was coming next as far as that goes. But my freshman year was all right. Um, my sophomore year was really when things started to be like a little rocky at college. I mean, this is like a repeat of high school, but I got involved with the wrong crowd with the wrong boy.
mm,
um,
mm,
and uh, he ended up assaulting me, which um, he did end up going to jail over. And I did press charges and I did all the right things. But I mean, that went to ROTC. And then I also got a drinking ticket at the same time, which also went to ROTC. And you're not allowed to drink underage in ROTC, obviously.
mm, right.
Um, so I got in trouble with the colonel and almost kicked out.
It wasn't Sanders, was it? Sorry, lighthearted joke.
No. Gross. Um, but yeah, so and at that point I just kind of felt like things were falling apart. Like I was like, I'm gonna lose ROTC just like I lost basketball
Mm,
because I was deciding to drink. And the assault just felt like, what did I do to deserve this kind of thing? And at that point, like my roommates basically just like turned their back and were like, we don't want you here anymore
yeah,
because I was bringing riffraff around,
right.
right? So, um, we had all been on a lease for our junior year, and they agreed to sign me off of it. So I ended up leaving. Um, what was that? I ended up taking a semester off right after that because I was just kind of like hurt by all of that,
Right.
and I was honestly kind of afraid too because I mean that guy didn't stay in jail forever.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so I did end up taking a semester off there. And I had to go back home. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before we get into like a little bit more about it, I guess I have a few questions. So you're obviously partying hard and in ROTC training hard. I mean, you
Hmm.
won the death march.
Yeah.
How did the two of those coexist then? Like I mean, you're pushing your body to a limit that we all talk about, like, oh, I partied in college and then I went and played like pickup basketball, or
Yeah.
you got guys who Division 1 athletes who I know very, very well who are like, I got drunk last night and then I went and, you know, caught 3 passes for 100 yards.
Yeah.
So how do those two coexist then?
I had youth on my side. That's for sure. That
Mm,
helps.
yeah.
Um, we joke I could beat my 20-year-old self at anything except drinking. So right now. But I definitely had youth on my side and it was kind of easy to bounce back from uh drinking. So I mean I did my PT in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I would teach group fitness Tuesday, Thursday, and ran on the weekends and
Yeah.
did a lot of it hungover and did very long ruck marches hungover. but I still did them, I guess. And I mean, and I'm not to say that everything was hungover. I mean, I wasn't like partying every night. I mean, I still had school and I was still studying and I still prioritized what I needed to prioritize. But yeah, I mean, there definitely was no like sacrifice of going out with my friends.
How do you, I mean, how do you think, and I'm asking this from a perspective of what you've already known, but like, how do you think on an impact on training then versus now would be, obviously?
I mean, I think the impact is the same, but I think how I felt about it, like,
Mm,
because of, again, I was young. Um, I mean, if I did that now, no shot.
right.
Absolutely not.
Consistency's
There would
gone.
be no recovery
Hmm.
at all. I just would not physically be able to do it.
Yeah. And then in regard to the assault, how do you feel like that changed your relationship with trust? Because obviously trust at a young age was broken by your mom drinking and
Hmm.
maybe not being as present as she should be. Your dad going and remarrying after the cheating. What was your relationship with trust after the assault then? I mean, because it seems like it would have already been very low.
Yeah. I don't think it, I think that what the trust it broke was the trust from that I trusted myself.
Hmm.
Because I was like, why am I doing this? Why did I get involved in this person? Like, what is my
Oh,
judgment that bad?
yeah,
Um, so I think I kind of learned to not trust me.
yeah. And then did that feel like a afterwards trying to regain control
Oh yeah.
of, yeah. So I guess one of my follow-up question to that on top of it, by taking the semester off, did that feel like that was you regaining control, or did that feel like failure to you because you left college for a semester? What was that like?
Well, I think my goal was to transfer to UIC and go to school in Chicago and completely abandon U of I.
Mm, okay.
Um, and when that didn't work out, I had to, pivot, and I
Yeah.
did end up going back to U of I. But um,
You can carry on with that too. I'm
yeah,
interested to hear that after getting back to U of I.
I don't
And
know if it was a need for control or just I just needed a break at that point to kind of regain my like trust in myself, and I don't know what I thought being at home would do for that, but um yeah, and again, I think I was just hurt by the girls that I thought were my friends, and
yeah.
I felt just like a little bit out of place. But when I did come back to school, I left ROTC, and a big play in that was the fact that I had medical disqualification to do with like simultaneous membership, where you're in the guard and you're also in ROTC.
Mm,
Um, and that's like a whole nother story, but it's just because of my autoimmune deficiency.
gotcha.
So I ended up leaving ROTC,
I, I
and
I think I skipped an important part
yeah,
too. Your semester back home, are you living at your house? Are you back with friends? Are you where are you living on the semester off specifically?
my mom's house.
At your mom's house.
Mm,
And how was the relationship then?
I wasn't.
Nothing.
At that point, she had not been working at the gym anymore.
Hmm.
And she had a different job. And it was just like a job to like pay the bills kind of thing.
Okay.
I lived there, but again, I worked at a gym, personal training that whole time. Um, and I was just doing other things,
Hmm.
a lot of other things to just not be home.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah. So it wasn't fun, but I mean, at that point, it was kind of like, which bad do you choose?
Right.
So, and then when I came back to school and left ROTC, it was another one of those moments where my dad was just so like disappointed in me that he quit talking to me again.
Hmm.
So again, that was just another like lesson of love's conditional to my performance. So, yeah. And so I did the rest of that semester, and then it was summer, so I came home again, and I like got involved with a girl that was one of my clients actually from the gym when I was working at home.
Hmm.
And she's just bad news bears.
Mm.
Yeah. And so, like, big partier, all that stuff. So kind of dove in with that. And I ended up getting a DUI that summer. And that was kind of another situation where I think in my drunk mind, the only person's number I knew was my dad's. And so I went to go call it and thinking I was calling my own cell phone.
Oh, no.
Was not. And so I ended up calling him, and he was the one who ended up picking me up from jail. And so, and this was during a non-speaking time. So it didn't exactly add to.
Didn't help. Yeah.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So you leave ROTC, and then the DUI happens. Did it feel that things were collapsing, or did you just feel like these are things that happen and I just move on from them and I go? What was your mentality at the time?
Oh, my mentality was, I got it. Like, I'm not losing control. Like,
Understood.
I will chug along and keep moving forward, and I can fix this, and I've gotten myself here to this point. Like, I'm strong enough to handle this. Like, I messed up big time, but I'll get through it.
And with your dad cutting off contact after the DUI, or I mean, before the DUI, then the DUI happens. What narratives, if any, did you start believing about yourself? Did you believe like, man, maybe I am my mom, maybe I am like? Did you tell yourself that, or was it still that I got it, I got this?
The fear, it was in the back of my mind for sure. But in my mind, I wanted to prove to the world that I wasn't. So I was like, gonna keep trying to prove it, which meant I was not gonna quit drinking.
Yeah.
And so all I wanted to do was moderate, control, prove everyone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. So following that, where do you go from there?
I did end up going back to school, and at that time, I met this girl who ended up being one of the best friends probably that I ever asked for at that time. And she was very into fitness, and she was awesome. And we were in the same college, like we both were kinesiology majors, and so I became very close with her, and I kind of found lifting in that, bodybuilding style lifting, and her and I were like attached at the hip. I mean, we would just go to the gym together. We would wake up early, and she'd come to my cycling classes that I would teach, and she was a really good influence at that time. So I really did need that. And I would do, intense stuff. Like, I loved it. Like, I would be like running sprints up hills and stadium runs. Like, we would sneak into the to Memorial Stadium and run the whole stadium. Like,
and were you still drinking at this time, though, too? Like
me and her would, but not in the same way, because she wasn't like that. She wasn't like a hardcore partier. She was like, I like to go out and have fun, but like not like that.
Okay.
So it tampered me, which was good. But my like intensity like got thrown into bodybuilding and cross training and stuff like that. So, but I did end up finding CrossFit at that time too. And when I got into CrossFit, I was like good at it right off the bat. And it like sparked that like athletic competition in me immediately. And when I found CrossFit, I also found the relationship back with my dad. So I dove into CrossFit, and it was an obsession, and I loved it. And, yeah, like I said, I was good at it. So it was like, I wanted to go at the time. The structure was different, but I wanted to go to regionals, which was difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So I worked my butt off on it to probably my own demise, because I did end up getting hurt, which was pretty common, but
But did you make regionals?
I didn't. Nope.
Well, injuries happen.
That's not why. That is not why. When I graduated from U of I, with my bachelor's and then again with my master's, I was still CrossFitting through that whole thing. And my peak of CrossFit was definitely right towards the end of my master's. And at that time, I like really dove in. I had a coach for nutrition. I was tracking my macros religiously, like getting 000s. Like I was the best. Like I hit my macros on the dot, like every day. That definitely sounds like me, right? And
Yep.
and I had like gotten super lean and was really killing it at CrossFit and wasn't drinking at that time. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, like I can't drink, you know. And so I was like, probably when I graduated from my master's, I had not drank in 8 weeks. I do remember that.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was my best athletic performance since before I started drinking.
Right.
So I was very close to being in the open was like right around the corner. So it was very close for me like to make it. Um and then I split with the guy I was dating and distraction.
Hmm.
Started partying again.
Hmm.
So I just said like, nah, like I mean, CrossFit's never gonna take me anywhere, you know, whatever. Gave up on it.
You had a lot of intensity when you were just talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because there's a lot of intensity in personal life from everything you went through, like
Yeah.
emotional intensity. Do you think that that emotional intensity drives physical intensity? Do you feel like you're pushing that hard? You're hitting 000s, you're doing all these things because you're like, I'm going to be the best. It's still a proving ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also think like, and I can speak to this with now being in the endurance world, but I think that you can relate it to CrossFit too, that trauma, I mean, this kind of style of workout speaks to people with trauma.
Yeah.
Um, we like, I think that we realize that we can go through pain and go through it and make it through it and come out on the other side. And I think in some sadistic way, I loved going through the pain. I still do.
Yeah.
And making it out on the other side because I was like, I did that.
Do you feel like though it was chasing excellence, or do you feel like you were just trying to outrun pain?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Outrun the pain and
Yeah.
be excellent at it.
Do you feel like when you were, yeah, so do you feel like when you were excellent at it and doing very good and all those things before it came to an end, do you feel like it quieted the chaos at all?
Yeah, and because
Mm.
in those moments, in that time period of my life, I felt so in control,
Yeah.
especially when I eliminated the drinking part of it and became like very good. I was in complete control and I was so like excited about that.
So, how much of that grind then was identity versus how much is survival at that time?
I definitely think it was probably more um identity because everything else in my life was fine. I mean, I had just gotten a master's degree from like a very prestigious university and I had landed my first job in a very hard to get into field and I was like, I got this. Like I actually on paper was doing excellent. So I don't really think I was trying to like escape that.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it on paper, it does go to prove that high performers can still be unraveling
Oh
in a
yeah.
different aspect of life. And uh, I think it's also interesting that like that did quiet the chaos a little bit when you were very good
Hmm.
at it, but your wholeness still wasn't there.
No.
Right? You're like things are better, but it's not where it could be.
No.
But the focus wasn't on that. It was how much harder do I have to train to get it where it would be.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Right.
Just thoughts there.
Like I
Um,
idolized Dana Lynn Bailey at that time. And I wanted to like be as intense as her and Rob Bailey were. Like I loved them as a couple and like I loved her attitude and like I wanted to be that.
if that would have been a trivia question of who those people were, I would have been like the one tried to run for Illinois governor.
No. She was the first Miss Olympia of oh, I'm not gonna nail this. They created a new division for her. She's a professional bodybuilder.
Okay.
Um I actually cannot remember, but
Yeah.
she's incredible and she like her and Rob's like relationship was really awesome at that time and she's very intense and still is. And I loved that about her.
Yeah.
And so that's what I wanted to be.
So you got your first job. Where do we go from the first job?
Well, I mean, I worked that job for like 3 years. And I think when I let drinking back into my life, like it's with drinking, it's like only a matter of time before it starts to blow up every part of your life. And I did make a fool of myself at a corporate event to the point where like I didn't remember even doing it and was told about it weeks later, and very embarrassing. And then at that same time, you compound that on my childhood home was foreclosed upon, the one I avoided my whole life, but still
Mm-hmm.
was foreclosed upon. So, um, and then my mom was also like kind of going off the deep end here a little bit. So all those things combined together to just create a recipe for some pretty emotional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when my mom started to really go off the deep end here, like this is when I became like really, really angry with God, where I was like, why won't this stop? Because
Yeah.
at that point I was like 24. And I was like, why won't this stop? Like, I don't deserve this. Yet I kept going back to the things that kept giving me bad outcomes. But
What kept you from surrendering?
pride,
Pride.
fear.
Mm.
If I surrender, that means that I'm no better
Mm.
than the person who did all this to me.
Yeah.
So,
Understood.
yeah. So I ended up moving to Bloomington. Um,
Woo woo.
yeah. Step one of our orbiting. um, but like the drinking here increased. And I did realize that this was somewhat a problem. And when I moved to Bloomington was, um, like when I first met Ezra's dad, and that's kind of how the whole relationship started, was like based off of alcohol. So, partying was kind of like a staple in the very beginning. But it like, because I came off of that really bad time, like it never actually like felt normal. And I think from day one, like even he realized like this girl can't handle her alcohol,
Mm.
which was true. So it was like very on and off for years and years and years of like trying to stop and start and stop, and I'm fine, and I'll stop again, and it'll be fine this time, and a cycle, vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Um, and in that time too, the relationship with my dad became very, very strained. There was just a lot of fighting, a lot of I'm not talking to you anymore. It sucked. There was a lot of back and forth of that.
Mm.
And when that stuff happened, I think that affected me more than anything else that ever happened to me in my whole life. Was when he left, that like abandonment really triggered and like really made things worse in me. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that helped very much with how I was coping with
I
alcohol.
could imagine that's a pretty reasonable
Yeah.
response. Yeah.
So, but I did end up joining the current company I work for at 25, and that was better. I mean, it was it was a lifestyle change, and I really enjoyed it, and I loved it. I still do. And it felt more like where I was meant to be career wise.
Mm.
So I was very proud of that. So like in the background, like I am doing all the good stuff. Like I have a really good career. Like I'm on my own. Like I'm handling it. But yeah. Yeah.
Still I got this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. But at home was not good.
Hmm.
So, um, and that whole time, I mean, I think it was just tumultuous. I was just on and off again with Ezra's dad, and became very distant and isolated from family, which is, I think, was just not good for me. I should have been closer with them, and I do regret it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I needed them then. So, but again, I was like, I'm gonna do this myself. So,
Like to think so.
and I had completely left the fitness community during that time. Like me being like so like hardcore into CrossFit, and then as soon as I like moved to Bloomington, I like let it all kind of go.
Yeah.
And I had worked at like a local gym in town, like on the side, but like I never really like stuck with anything. I'd take a class here and there, but like I had definitely left the fitness community. It
Yeah.
was not a part of my life, and was not a part of my identity there either.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I think when I got towards like, I got sick of being out of the community. I ended up finding powerlifting and got back into, that was my way back in to lifting and to fitness. And I dove head first into that. And surprise, I was pretty good. So
Everything you do.
no, that's not true. But was pretty good. So I did end up signing up for my first competition, and a couple weeks before that was when I found out I was pregnant with Ezra. So I competed at that competition 8 weeks pregnant. So Ezra's done a powerlifting competition too.
Dang. So why are you so strong?
Yeah. Yeah, so that kind of brings me all the way up to being involved in powerlifting, and I really liked it. It was cool. It was a good experience with that, but
I mean, you competed while you were pregnant. What do you think that says about the relationship of like your strength, but also your worth at the time? Does that make sense?
I mean, moms can do anything.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like you're showing that, hey, I'm capable of doing this, pregnant or not, and I'm going to continue to compete. But did you still feel at that time like things were full again? Did you feel whole again?
When I was training, yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, no.
Yeah.
When I was at work, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Work and lifting were my thing. Those were my two escapes at that time.
Well, and obviously a big moment following that, right? You have this CrossFit competition, and then however many weeks later, boom, the little homie pops out.
Sure does. 11-pound baby.
What? Yeah, the big homie pops out. Walk me through that. Not necessarily like the birth, but like from that time and following it and training and what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when Ezra was born, it was the scariest thing. The first thing I said when he came out was, "What am I supposed to do with that?" Which is just, I think it's just like every mom. You're gonna send me home with that, like no instructions. I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it was awesome. I mean, it's been one of the best gifts that God's ever given me. I mean, he's awesome. So, but the fear of being like my mom intensified so much once he was born, because it was now my job to not allow him to grow up like I did. And I think that, I mean, there was also the other part of me that wanted to be back in shape so badly to prove that like moms can do anything and I can still do anything, and like I can still be this and have this career, and then also like I'm going to bounce back and like be like fitness again from what I was before. So I dove right back into powerlifting, and at like the 5-week mark I was back to lifting and all the things, and that was probably not smart, but we did it. But I had raging postpartum depression, and it was very, very bad, and that's something that like I don't wish on, obviously, on anybody. I feel for all moms out there who have postpartum depression, and it's okay to not be okay in that time, for sure. And like, so in a way, that fitness helped me out of it, because it gave me this identity. When you become a mom and you instantly lose all of your identity, because you're like, I have now this little child that is dependent on me, and I can never be who I was before. So it's like you have to relearn who you are all over again in like a new way, and you grieve who you used to be. So diving right back into fitness really like helped that a lot.
To try and regain the closest resemblance to the wholeness that you had had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I did the whole newborn thing, and it was right around like 6 months old was when I realized that like the relationship between, his dad and I was just not healthy for like a child to be around. And so we called it quits at that point. And I mean, that's pretty much that. We have a great co-parenting relationship now, and there's really nothing to elaborate on there. It just wasn't healthy for him, for Ezra to I wanted him to grow up in a place where he knew that what like good relationships were and how to model that. So, but that was honestly like right around the time I like met you as
Me?
being friends, and you became like my best friend at that time and like really helped me through that whole stage of my life between being a new mom and navigating a split with the baby's dad and all that. So,
Yeah, and I think at the time too, it was almost perfect timing to where I had, I don't know what you want to call it, maybe a phase of life I was going through. We could talk about it on the next one when
yeah.
I do mine. But I think that it was interesting that it's like that's when God put you in my life. Like
Mhm.
in that moment. Like is before that, no.
Right.
Too far after that, probably still no.
Right.
And it's like I think it's crazy and like it was an immediate friendship just because I think there was an understanding of like we do have the same job.
Yeah.
We do understand the daily stressors. We do understand those. And then I think that there was, uh, I don't know, a general understanding of each other of like, we both got some stuff going on. A good friend would be good right now.
Yeah.
And that was kind of just what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, you really did help me through that time, and it was just you were just a really close, like awesome friend to me, and I really appreciated that then. And the theme continues here
Mm-hmm.
with I got into like some issues with my dad yet again, and to me it felt like he sided with um my ex and wasn't exactly supportive of me,
Mm-hmm.
and that really really did hurt the most of anything ever. um and so that was just kind of like another round of not speaking, which again I think it's like it's a compounding thing. It's just like continued to affect me and continued, and so I really still was in that mindset of like love is conditional.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and it didn't help like that at that time. I was just like a newly single mom thinking love is conditional from him, and I never ever wanted Ezra to feel like love was conditional.
Yeah. And what was your thoughts then of how that would impact Ezra? Like, were you worried that if they developed a relationship that it could be conditional too if Ezra ever made a mistake later?
Yes.
Yeah, makes
Hmm.
sense.
I wanted to shield him from all of it.
Yeah, that adds up.
So, um, but yeah, I mean, we skip ahead in this part because there's really not much to the story. As far as like what pertains to like the podcast, like um, I was still drinking. I mean, like partying and stuff like that. On like the times that I like didn't have Ezra when we would, cause when he would be with his dad, and I was still working out and kept sticking with the fitness thing as much as I could, but and I still had a good career, and on paper again, I looked fine.
Right.
So, you and I started like dating around this time too. And I think that at the beginning of our relationship, there was definitely a lot of drinking involved, and we would,
Absolutely. Yeah, we
yeah,
hit it. We hit it hard
burn
and
the candle at both ends.
definitely burned the candle at both ends. And we had, a group of friends that we could basically just be like, "Yo, let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's do
right,
whatever."
right.
And this is the middle of the summer. Um, I mean, you look back at it, I don't have any negative memories of the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
even in the realm of drinking, because I think that it all shaped where we're at
It
now.
does, yeah.
And it almost felt like that summer when we started dating specifically felt like when you have school break from summer.
Yeah,
Is that what it felt like?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
like
That's a
how I
good way to
relate
put
it
it.
back. It just felt like, hey, nothing matters right now. We're both working as hard as we possibly can, but we're also playing as hard as we possibly can.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's definitely what it reminded me of. And I think anyone that was around during those times, which we do have some good friends who we still talk
yeah,
with from those times, that they it's interesting to look back on.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
But
is for sure.
so we start dating
Mm-hmm.
and obviously get married.
Yep.
We and this is, I guess, me speaking from our side, not necessarily a Christ-centric marriage by any means,
No.
but what I would say is that we had a very service-focused marriage.
Yeah.
That it was like, hey, I got the garbage, I got the laundry out, let's do this, let's do that, I got this, you got that, let's do this. We are a team.
Hmm.
And again, I think that that's God working through us without being present in the beginning of our marriage.
Right.
Like without us allowing him to be present in the beginning of our marriage, I think it was God working through us to show us you can trust again.
Hmm.
You can, love is not conditional.
Right.
And this is a thing that I'm going to show you. And I think he showed us
Hmm.
that with each other.
Right.
So I think it's really interesting to look back at that, realizing that we exemplified by the way we treated each other what would be a Christian marriage
It really was without knowing it at
without
that
knowing
time.
it.
And I
Right.
think that when I was just ridden with fear of like I picked the wrong ones and I'm gonna end up just like my mom and all of these things, and like you were in my life at a friendship point
Right.
at that time. But then when it turned into a whole relationship and then into a marriage, I remember being like talking to like my best friend and being like who had a history of bad guys too, and we both ended up with the nice ones.
Hmm.
And the ones who treated us right eventually. And like you like reignited my faith in like relationships and with and in men in general, and you treated me like I think God wants husbands to treat their wives without saying it that way.
Yeah.
Um which like really reignited my trust in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I felt like loved for like me and I didn't have to earn it for like the first time ever.
Yeah. Well, you're easy to
So,
love. So
thanks.
thanks for keeping it easy on me. All right. So fast forward. We've been married how many years now before we get to the next pivotal point in your life?
It's like a year.
Yep.
So,
I'll let you carry it away.
yeah. But we had been married a year in October of 22 and right?
Yep.
Yep. No. 23. Sorry.
You're right. We'll clip it. We'll clip it. It's gonna be caught.
And
We know when we got married.
yeah, we do. So my dad did have cancer during this time, and I didn't mention that in here, but it was pretty aggressive, and it was nearing the end, around a year of our marriage. And I got a call from my stepmom saying, like, hey, I really think that you need to try and talk to your dad. Like, there's not a lot of time. So I obliged, and in my mind, I just said, like, this isn't me carrying this is not going to like solve anything at this point. If this really is the end, like, let's not be bitter. So we talked, and kind of got like the finals of everything out of the way. And he gave me like an apology, that I probably deserved far earlier than that, but there was an apology, and forgiveness exchanged. And, yeah, he died in January of 2024. So, but that sucked. And like, I think the drinking turned so bad at that point because I just like didn't know what to do with that grief. Good thing I brought these. I knew, I didn't know what to do with that grief.
Yeah.
And like at that time, I think I felt so much like regret for how bitter I was. Like it just felt like it was just so unfair that he just like didn't reach out to me before that.
Yeah.
And was like not talking to me for that long. And so I think that I just like dealt with like such like bad depression and anxiety, and it made me just like turn into like this like big self-hatred where I was like back to being 10 years old again. Like, why am I not enough for that to have been mended earlier? So the self-hate like really increased. And there was more like classic alcoholic signs. and I hate that phrase, and we need to clip that word out of my mouth when we edit this. But more of the classic signs that you would see in that time where
Yeah.
and just like name a few, but it would be like lying about how much I drank, or absolutely fixating on like, is there going to be something to drink at this event? Like, am I going to be okay? I would never go to something like that. That'd be
Right.
nuts, you know? But this also like increased like the entire fear of turning Ezra's life into like what mine was, because I could see like every time I drank, like the guilt would eat me, and like I would spiral and like panic. And I mean, I would panic to you all the time and just be like constantly like, I can't do this anymore. Like, why do I keep feeling this way? This is so like debilitating.
And I think at the time we almost made jokes of it.
Yeah, it was just like anxiety, right?
Yeah, we were like, oh, it's anxiety. You know, hey, let's go grab a beer with brunch this morning and we'll be fine.
Yeah. And I think like in a lot of ways, I say this a lot, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And so I just made it like a joke, like, and just a way to stuff it down. But like, it kept me up at night. Like, there would be so many nights at 3 a.m. I'd wake up and just be like, not again. Like, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
Like, this is getting to the point where like, I feel if it doesn't stop now, like I'm going to blow my life up.
Yeah.
Um,
And do you feel like at that time that was the time where you felt like that was the largest possibility that you were becoming similar to your mom?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, in December of 24, I told myself I was only going to have like maybe a glass of wine at that event that I went to.
I remember.
That was not what happened.
Mm-mm.
And I woke up the next morning, like, did it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I just basically told you, like, you need to get me help,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't get me help, like, you might not have me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a rough day, but like, I faced my fears with losing you and thinking like I was broken. So how could you love me broken?
Mm.
And I accepted that, like, you might not want to stick around with somebody like me, but I knew that getting better was more important than like anything.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just kind of hoped that you'd stick around. So, I mean, even at that time, like, I was also the heaviest I'd ever been. And so like, you don't really see how like anxiety and depression affect more than just like how you cope. Like, I mean, I was eating like terribly. I was heavier than I was 9 months pregnant. Like, it affected everything. Yeah. So, but I mean, I just remember asking you for help that day, and that was like the most terrifying thing I've ever done, but it was the best thing also that I've ever done.
Yeah, and I think looking at it again from the perspective of faith, that day, like I turned to God.
Yeah.
Like I've told you before, I turn to God every time things get hard,
Mm-hmm.
whether I tell anybody about it or not. And I was more worried about losing you. So it's funny that you think you're worried you're going to lose me. I was more worried about losing you. And I was like, we have to do whatever this is going to take.
Yeah.
And I also wanted you to know that, like, this is going to come as no surprise to you since it's you, but you are quick to make decisions.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to know that we have time. We can not drink, and we have time to think about this as a couple and come to a decision.
Yeah.
Which, again, a very faith-based outlook on making a decision
It is.
without having the faith component directly involved.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
It is. And
Yeah.
I think that was probably just Christ walking the way for us, but like not knowing it at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah. All I knew at that moment was that I needed to stop. And it was the first time in my life that I was not afraid in the least bit to admit it. Like, I was just absolutely ready to be like, I'm done with this. And it's like, if alcohol causes a problem in your life, like, you have a problem with alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So, on a caveat, I will never call myself an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that term.
Mm-hmm.
It's all defining, and I am so much more than what the problems that alcohol caused in my life. And so is every other person out there that struggles with drugs and alcohol. Like, you are not an addict. You are not
Right.
an alcoholic. Like, you are a person. And
Mm-hmm.
like, God loves you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
100%.
You just struggled with something that is meant to be addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's meant to do that.
That we've normalized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you struggled with something, and now it's time to just fix it. What can we do to move on from struggling from it?
Mm-hmm.
You're not broken. So I'll never say I'm an alcoholic. I hate that
Oh,
phrase.
I'm with
So,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I just coped real poorly.
just cope bad.
Right. And I think all my dad ever wanted for me too was to like know that piece of not having it in my life, because he knew it. He was sober my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think deep down he knew it, and he did know Christ at the end
Mm-hmm.
before he passed, and he wanted that for me more than anything. So, looking back now, I think that a lot of the choices that he made to continue to not talk to me were very misguided, but his intentions were always to try and just get me to see the light.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
So yeah,
Good
there's been
intention.
true forgiveness there.
Good intentions. Poor
Execution.
execution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And so yeah, there's been true forgiveness there, and that weight has been lifted, and it's great. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and like, ever since I did quit, I've just completely rediscovered myself, and like, this is the best part. If you made it this far, I know this is long.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's all absolutely imperative, and I think that you can't. No one, like I said earlier, it's not a highlight reel of your life. This is
Yeah.
real moments with a living testimony, and yeah, I think it's exciting that we're at the best part.
None of this would have the same impact if I didn't tell the full thing. So like,
Right.
I know it's long-winded, but I'm glad you've made it this far.
So, age 33.
My Jesus year.
33's up.
Yeah, I think that the year was just absolute self-rediscovery. I did end up picking up running again at that point. I had ran a half marathon prior to quitting drinking, but it was so bad. And so I was like, I'm gonna do another one, and this is gonna be like the race to like, I'm gonna do it like sober, and it's gonna be like such a huge PR. It's gonna be great. Which it was. But I picked up running again, and yeah, I ended up with like a 20-minute PR in the hilliest course ever, and it was awesome. And you ran too, and I just felt like through that whole prep, it was like, wow, like I'm really rediscovering who I am, and I'm like so happy without this substance, and like life is just like really cool.
And again, we had not got back into church yet.
Mm-mm.
But something that I noticed, and it took reflection to think about this when I was thinking about you today and this conversation tonight. When you ran your race in the half in Bloomington before we stopped drinking.
Yeah.
You got done. The first thing I did was come over to you, like hug you, and you're like, I need a minute. I don't know what I'm going through, what's going on. I might cry. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like I kind of thought you'd be like, woo,
Mm-hmm.
did it, and like maybe like happy emotional, but
Yeah.
you were more like fatigue emotional. It was very hard to explain or maybe even articulate, but it almost didn't seem like, yeah, I did it. It was more like, it's done.
Yeah.
And
I had a lot of disappointment.
And when you finished in Nashville, you were like, I could run 13 more. You're
Yeah.
like, let's go. Like, this is
It was
awesome.
awesome.
And like, I think it's so crazy to just watch even just the subtraction of that substance from life. See what it did for your joy post race.
Yeah.
It was cool. Really cool.
Well, I felt like I like for the first time in my life was like dealing with emotions. Like I was back in therapy, and like I was just like really processing through things. And then like even when I don't remember what, I think I saw you at like mile 9 or 10, and you cried.
No.
And I think it was probably because
no.
you told me it was because of how proud you were, and like just I looked so different, and it was like the culmination of like all of this work was like, I'm gonna do this race, and it was just like the first introduction into like I could trust myself again, and I did what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
And that's been something that I've struggled with always, was I just never follow through.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. I think I should make a public apology on here to the poor small woman that I ran over while chasing you down in Nashville.
Yikes.
While I had rain coming down my face. It was rain. It wasn't
Yeah. It was
tears.
definitely raining that
I
day. It
don't
wasn't
do
a beautiful day out at all.
I don't do that. I definitely ran over that lady. Like just straight.
Trucked her.
Oh yeah, it was
Nice.
bad. Ray Lewis, early 2000s. It was bad, but it was cool to see you run.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did that, and then afterwards, I don't know like what got into me, but I was just like, I'm going to do a triathlon.
Mm-hmm.
And I just texted you. I'm like, I'm doing the Chicago Triathlon. And you were like, okay, you hate swimming. And I was like,
Yeah.
I do a lot. But like, what is stopping me from like do something you don't like?
That, and you already did something that was incredibly difficult in just
Yeah,
the day of stopping.
right. I was like, I'm going to do something I don't like, and I'm actually going to do it well, and I think because I trust myself again.
Right.
So I like started triathlon training, and I hired a coach, and I like went all in, shocky. And like yeah, and like really triathlon training is so hard. And it's such a commitment. And it's just like 3 different disciplines that like I'm okay in all of them. You know, it's like not like
That's modest.
it's not like where you can just cycle and you become like an excellent cyclist. Like you are like a jack of all trades, and it's like very hard to like train all 3 and become moderately good at them. So I loved how difficult it was. And finding that like within the first year of not drinking was like such a blessing, because it was like learning something new, and then like learning everything I did, I learned something new about myself. And I say this like in the Instagram post that I made and stuff like that, but like every step I took more, every mile I went more, like every hour longer in the garage on that bike trainer, like that I didn't think I could do. And like I did a little more and a little more. And it was like every day I built trust in myself. And it was just like triathlon kept me sober.
Yeah. It really did.
Because it was like I kept just building trust over and over and over again that like I can do something hard.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're modest even just saying triathlon. I mean, I know the initial race was a triathlon. You did Chicago Tri. We're in the quarters of tonight.
Yeah.
Was that intentional?
Yeah.
Was it actually
Yeah.
intentional? Wow, good for you. You're very planned. But even just pushing it further and saying, I'm going to push myself to be more uncomfortable and signing up for the Ironman 70.3
Mm-hmm.
and saying, oh, well, I spent 2 hours training on the bike. What's 3?
Yeah.
What's 3 plus a run? What's this? And I think that it's been fun to watch. Um, you're crazy. But it's been fun to watch because I can see that you're testing yourself from things that you would normally be afraid of.
Yeah.
And not biking or cycling necessarily, but the swim specifically, like that moment where I felt very proud of you when you're running your half when we're in Nashville. I felt 20 times that in Chicago watching you in the water, because I'm like, you hate swimming.
Yeah.
You were like throwing a cat into a shower and trying to bathe it, getting into the pool the first time.
Witnessing that, but my jump into Lake Michigan, where I was like, oh.
And even technique wise, like, and I'm not saying this in like a mean way, but like even the first time watching the pool technique wise, I was like,
Yikes.
I didn't say that.
You did.
But I was like, there's some things we got to iron out.
Yeah.
And like now watching you, like when we go do a joint swim together, there's times where I'll stop and watch you do 100 just because I'm like, wow, like the strides you've made and continue to make, like it incredibly impressive. But however, not to focus too much on the fitness. What happened after that? After the Chicago Tri, sorry.
Yeah. After the Chicago Triathlon, I was like, this is really awesome. But like we came back home and I was like, now what?
Mm-hmm.
Sign up for an Ironman. Like, why not? You know? But like that didn't solve it. And I didn't really know what it was. And so I just kept on thinking like, oh, I'll just train for this next race. And we'll just keep doing it. And the better I get at this, the more fulfilled I'll feel. And it's given me this much joy so far. Like, I just can only get better, right? Like, maybe I'm just not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time for Ezra to go to kindergarten soon. So looking at schools. And I had this like random idea, definitely not random, but you know what I mean. Random idea come to me that like, I didn't want him to be in the public school system because in my opinion, there are some questionable things that can be let in and taught there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that God's being pushed out of schools too. And I mean, I know that I grew up in, like a Catholic school, and I realized that like growing up in that environment was really beneficial for me.
Mm.
And it also kind of limits like the things that I don't believe in being taught to my child that I didn't like authorize for him to be taught.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think that God was like, there is this school here, and like, let's go look at it.
And it happens to be a mile from your house.
It does. And so I did tour the Christian school here in town, and man, the whole time that we were through that tour, I was just like, this is the place. Like, Ezra needs to go here. And in the parking lot, and I don't think that he even knows that like this is like definitely like the point of turn for me. But in the parking lot, his dad was like, you're kind of hypocritical right now. Like, why do you want him to go here? Like, you won't even walk into church. Like, you take him to Sunday school, but like you don't go into the service.
Right.
And like, I've asked you to like get more involved with that, and you don't. So like, this seems a little like you're not really walking the walk here. And he probably said it nicer than that, but I was like, okay, whatever. But like, that sat with me because I'm like, man, like, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
So I told you that story when we got back home, and I said like, in a conversation again with him, he was just like, I really just kind of want to see that like that's something that you really do believe in.
Right.
And so I told you like, I think that, he's right in that like we need to go more and make this like a much more centered focus of our life. And you were like, okay. Yeah. So that Sunday we took Ezra, and you were like, do you want to go in? And I was like, yes. Like, let's go in. Which to me, like, brick and mortar churches, I was just so mad. And I used all these excuses of, you don't need to be going into the service. Like,
right.
God is everywhere. And I think I'd use any excuse to not go to church. But that stemmed from my own, like, annoyance with my past and my anger with God. And we sat in the balcony, and I just remember, like, worship started. And I don't remember what song it was, but I know the theme of the song was like, you're home. And it's gonna make me cry again. But like, I felt like this like really like warmness come over me, and I got the chills so bad. Like, it was like the craziest thing, and it just felt like a hug. That's all I can describe it as. And like, I was hiding it from you, but I just had like tears in my eyes because I was just like, this is so crazy. What is going on? Like, why do I feel like this? And the only thing that I can think of is like, the Holy Spirit was like, hey, like, gotcha.
I'm here. Yeah.
And at that point in time, I was just like, I never wanted to leave.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to tell the people how long it took you to tell me that you felt that nice feeling?
I told you in Bible study like 2 weeks ago, and this was like.
Months ago that this happened.
Oh, everyone, this is our dog.
Yeah, this is Moose. Moose is here to console Mom. He could tell that she was getting emotional.
She's like, Mom's crying.
Yeah. But,
Sit down.
No, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. And I felt embarrassed to tell you because I just wasn't really quite sure. Like, I just felt like silly. I don't know. But I knew in my heart that like, that's what happened. And I was like, wow, like that was really moving of God to do. And it's not like the first time he spoke to me. I mean, you remember when Dad died, and right before Dad's funeral, I mean, that Billy Joel song that came out, and
absolutely,
which was just so insane. And the lights flickering the minute he died, only right behind me, which was really crazy. And then the chair and all the things. Like, God has spoke to me before, but I've just not let it in. but like that was just different.
Right.
It was so different. And I'm sure just like, a non-believer, they're probably like, dude, you just got like moved by the music. But no, that wasn't it.
No, and I think that it's not it because you don't remember the exact lyrics of it. If it was the music, you would say, well, the music said this, and this lyric. And I was like, wow, those lyrics are impactful. And you probably remember the lyrics forever.
Yeah.
But you don't remember the lyrics. You'd remember what you felt.
Yeah. And all I know is the song was about being home. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember. So the irony's not lost on me that like it happened during that time. So I think, and after that I was like, we need to keep doing this. And I like found this book called Bible in a Year, which I'm still doing. I'm on like, week 15, but it's just like a small little like devotional every single day. And I started doing that. And I remember I ordered it and I showed it to you and you were like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I felt so silly, but I was like, you just can't feel silly.
And all you've been doing is doing it.
Yeah.
You've been so disciplined on getting it done too.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the excitement that comes from it when you're like, this week's about peace. I'm like, awesome.
Right.
And you're like, this week is about this. And I'm like, awesome. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's so cool that you're not like, oh, I gotta go do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's awesome too. Um,
Yeah. And I think the discipline in it can only be attributed to the discipline that I learned in doing something hard like triathlon.
100%.
So
That's where I think performance and fitness can be a rebuilding.
it can.
That's where this whole concept and the whole reason, part of the motivation for the pod is like performance and discipline can lead you to God, and God can lead you to discipline and performance.
Right.
And I think that before you were using performance as an escape, but now you're using performance as a building block in your faith,
Mm-hmm.
but also in a building block in life. You're saying, this is who I am now, which is really neat compared to escaping life.
Mm-hmm. And even you can even see it when I am training. Like I'm like jamming to like worship music, and it's like
Yeah.
so much more motivating than like any other music I've ever listened to because I'm just like, this means something.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that. But yeah, it returning to God, I mean, it's changed so much for me. I'm not angry anymore over my past. I know what it was meant for.
Yeah.
And I can see now, especially the more I read about what God does with broken people.
Yeah.
Is like he breaks them first.
Yeah.
And then rebuilds them later. And so I just feel like the more work I do, the more rebuilt I am. And the anger and the resentment and the bitterness of my past with my parents is just like it's gone. And I just feel so much more like secure. And like I talk about it in my about me, but like the God-shaped hole, which is a common term.
Yeah,
But like
absolutely.
the God-shaped hole in my heart that I tried to fill with so many other things has been filled with the only thing it could be filled with.
And I think it's interesting. I feel like you can see my question I'm going to ask you in my glasses that I formulated earlier based on that.
Oh, please. I'm blind as a bat.
That's also fair. What would you say to someone who's a high performer, but they're deeply broken inside?
I think I would want to ask, what is your motivation for doing the things you do? Like, what does that make you feel?
Hmm.
Like, does it make you feel like accomplished? Like, do you feel for just a fleeting moment that like proud of yourself and you did something right? And it's like where is that coming from? Like, I want to know why
Right.
a high performer does what they do. Right.
Right.
But like, yeah, also like, who are you doing it for?
Yeah. And how would you now define strength as an athlete, a mother, and a believer now compared to before when we're talking about in performance, what strength was?
Yeah, I think strength can be so many things, but I think that really strength is struggle, but seeing the beauty in struggle. Like, there's so many good things that come out of just sitting with pain,
Mm-hmm.
and enduring pain. And I think the only way you can get through those things truly is by leaning on God through the pain.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not going to be yourself who gets you through those things. And when you're training, yes, it is you, but there are moments now where I don't think I can keep going, and I just pray during my training. Then it changes all of it, right? Because it's just he gets you through pain and struggle. And as before, it was just like I had to like dig deep down inside me, and I'm pretty limited at some point, like, you know,
Yeah.
with that motivation. So,
And then a final closing question. I've got a remark as well, but inevitably, the internet's forever. Ezra's going to listen to this someday.
mm-hmm.
Very likely Ezra will listen someday. What do you hope he hears from your story or gains from your story?
Number one, I hope he sees the risk that it is to that substances present.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told you this before. I really believe that alcohol is the devil's number one weapon
Mm-hmm.
in this world. I've never seen it do anything good,
Mm-hmm.
ever. Sure, it it creates this like fake um, social atmosphere, but like I said, all of it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
That actually not who those people are.
Right.
And at its core, it's a poison. And I just hope that he sees the risk that it would be to put it as a priority in his life, or to even, I mean, not to say that like I'm ever going to tell him like you absolutely should not do that. I want him to make that decision for himself, but um just the I hope he can see the risk that it caused in my life,
Yeah.
and that you don't need to have everything fall apart in order to stop or did never start. It can
Right.
just be a choice. And I think that all the good things that God put in my life were ripped away because the devil kept coming back in and saying, "Here, this is the answer. Here, this is way more fun."
Yeah.
Um, and so every time I think I would get close to learning the things that I know now that I've learned, but because alcohol will never have a place in my life again,
Right.
I think that it was like he saw the potential of me learning all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so just kind of kept throwing alcohol back into my life and back into my life to be like, let's stop her now.
Yeah.
And destroying it every time. And so I hope that he can see from my story that like it destroys. At the end of the day, that's all it does.
Yeah.
So,
Well, as we wrap up here, anything that you'd like to say? Closing remarks from you?
mm. I mean, I said it before, but I hope that like my whole story kind of shows that like a broken person can find their way again,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's hope for everybody in
Mm-hmm.
some way, sometime, always.
Mm-hmm.
God is always there, and he wants you to know him.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how broken your past is, or like how you feel you might be worthless, or you're angry with God, or whatever it may be, there's always time to turn that around. And
Mm-hmm.
God's waiting for you to basically take up the cross and walk with him. And I know it changed my life completely in a very, very short time. I
Yeah.
can't imagine what it will do the more that I grow in the relationship with him, but like you're never too broken.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely just not embarrassing. Whatever you have like in your past, it's not embarrassing. There's a reason for it. And I have no regrets. I would not change a thing about my past at this point. And if you asked me that a year ago, I would change everything. But I just wouldn't change it now.
Lots changed in
So,
a year.
so that would be what I would want people to know.
Well, what I want to say on behalf of the people listening, and as your husband too, but is thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being willing to share your story and obviously have me ask questions. I mean, there's some questions there that I've probably asked you before. There's some that I haven't. And I think that it's incredibly important to be vulnerable in our walk with God so we can help others who might be going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you did just that. And I think anyone who hears this, you know, it's just an incredible testament to what God can do and move in someone's life. So
Yeah.
I want to tell you
Thank you.
thank you and I love you.
I love you.
And we will catch you on our next episode.
Yeah.